welcome to the Strauss Cafe podcast, episode 2. I'm Lee Strauss, and this is my husband, Norm Strauss, my co-host today and every day for the last, 39 years.
A co-host, is that what I am too?
You have been a very good co-host to me over the years, Norm. Thank you.
This is my husband and co-host.
That's right, and I'm his wife and co-host, and this is how we do our life. We've done many crazy adventurous things. We were just talking about that, and this is yet another thing that we're doing is starting our own podcast. So we're so glad that you've decided to join us. And we have some interesting things to talk about today, but that we'll get to in a minute. But first we just want to talk a little bit about what's happening, where we're at right now. It's December 2025, racing to the end of the year. Where we live, we sometimes have really cold winters and sometimes not so cold winters. And this year is a not so cold winter. It feels like spring out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it could be March. And so I've been very hopeful that maybe we're going to have a white Christmas this year. It's not always guaranteed. Usually what's guaranteed is a blizzard in January, February. But by then it's like you don't want the snow anymore. This is when we want it. So there's still some time. Still could happen. So
yesterday, I think it was 11 or 12 degrees Celsius yesterday.
Right.
Which is spring temperatures.
Right. We're in Canada, so we do Celsius. So just you'll have to convert that to Fahrenheit if you're one of our American peeps. So, but generally speaking, that's pretty warm for December in Canada for sure. And, we're just wrapped around, like everyone else, we're trying to get ready for Christmas, getting our Christmas shopping done. I have to confess that since the pandemic, I've become an online shopper. I think I always had a propensity towards that because I'm a bit of a homebody, aren't I? I like being at home. I'm not really a fan of tackling crowds at the mall. I know that is exciting for some types of personalities, but for me, maybe because of my introvertedness, I prefer, not leaving the house, inviting you guys to join me here instead via podcast and do my shopping online.
I think the whole thing about going to the mall, part of it is just getting older. When I was younger, we used to hang out at the mall. We used to love going to the mall.
That's true.
Didn't have any money to buy anything, but we, but now when I go into a mall, I am just a cranky old man. And you don't want to mess
only when you go into the mall, Norm.
Yeah.
So, we have a little bit more time. I think in our next episode, we might talk more about Christmas traditions and how we celebrate as a family. And, I'm not much of a baker per se, or a cook for that matter. You can't be good at everything, right? But I do like Christmas baking. And so I do have some favorite recipes and traditions for that I'll share. And if you're seeing that episode and you want to comment and share about your traditions, I'd look forward to that. That would be great. And your recipes too. We were going to introduce Bobby Pippins.
Right.
Do you want to go grab him?
I'll go see if I can find him.
He's on the couch. Our Bobby Pippins is our cat. And as part of the Patreon, our couch, no? Oh, no, he's off the couch. Part of the Patreon community experience is I want to be able to share the joys and comforts I get from our house cat. He came to us when he was 5 years old, so we didn't have him as a kitten, and he was quite traumatized at the time. He didn't have a very good life experience, unfortunately. But he is treated very well in the Strauss house. Hey, Pippins, you need to look. There he is. He's such a cuddle muffin, such a fur, I call him my fur boy, a real therapy cat. And he really is a lap cat. I mean, he just loves being on the lap, which is exactly what the kind of cat I want to get. So we give a lot of love and affection to each other. So you'll probably see a lot of little video clips and pictures of him along the way. I have his own collection on my Patreon page. So if you're interested in hanging out with Pips or Bobby Pippins, sometimes he's called Bob, sometimes he's called Pips.
I call him Pips.
Yeah. Our daughter named him Bobby, but we had wanted to call him Pippins after our character Pippins in the Ginger Gold mystery series. So he got both names now. And we really don't even know what he was called before he came to us. So he doesn't really care. He's just happy that we pet him and feed him every day and do his nails once in a while. So what we want to do in these podcasts is talk about a book and then sort of zero in on, I got cat hair flying around here, zero in on a historical issue or situation in each one, tidbit. So the book we're going to talk about today is my new release coming out soon called Murder at Maharaja's Court. I don't know if you can see that. I don't actually have a paperback or print version of it yet myself. It's only just newly released on Amazon. Norm, did you want to read the...
Sure. Here's the blurb for the new book. Murder at Maharaja's Courts, a 1920s cozy historical mystery, a Ginger Gold mystery. Book 28.
Book 28.
How about that? Okay. Murder is a world away. Lady Ginger Gold never imagined her journey to, how do you pronounce that? Rajasthan?
Sure.
Lady Gold never imagined her journey to Rajasthan would draw her into the glittering yet perilous world of a royal court. Invited with her husband Basil to a lavish celebration at Maharaja's palace, she is swept into a realm of jeweled elephants, opulent banquets, and the thrill of a tiger hunt in the desert. Whoa. But when a guest is gunned down during the hunt, whispers ripple through the gilded halls. Was the bullet meant for the victim or for the Maharaja himself? As Ginger unravels a web of intrigue, she uncovers dangerous undercurrents, British officials with secrets to hide, courtiers with shifting loyalties, and whispers of rebellion against the crown.
Ooh, that's a pretty long, in-depth blurb. I don't usually write them that long, but hopefully that's enough to intrigue you of the backdrop of this book. The reason I sent Ginger and Basil to India was because in the last book, Murder in the Painted Mask, that was a closed room mystery where the whole book kind of took place in one location, in this one house out in the country. So I felt after that it was time for her to explore the world a little bit. And the thing is, when you're writing a book and you decide to go in a certain direction, you don't always know what ideas or what research will open up. And I didn't really at the time understand what was going on in the late 1920s between the British Empire and India. I mean, I knew that India was part of the empire, and I knew eventually they got their independence and that Gandhi had something to do with it. But I didn't realize sort of, the cusp, sort of what that 1929 was sort of the cusp leading up to the big Gandhi, was it a hike or famine or something?
March.
Yeah. He did a lot of famines, like hunger strikes throughout the year. I mean, Gandhi was quite active for a decade or more, advocating for the rights of the Indian poor, especially the poor that were not looked after well, unfortunately, by the British Empire. And one of the things that I'd learned while I was doing research was about the British Salt Act. Maybe you already knew about that, but that was something that if I'd ever heard about it, I didn't store it away in my mental files. And the British Salt Act, what do you know about that, Norm?
Well, basically, the British wanted to tax heavily on salt. See, salt, India is rich in salt, and I think especially on the coastlines.
Right? Yeah.
And the British government said, well, we want to take all your salt and you have to pay us heavily for it.
Taxes.
In form of taxes.
Yeah.
Which enraged, of course, the Indian population.
Yeah.
That was in 1882 that act was instituted.
And so from the imperial point of view, which some of my characters take, is that the British have a right to do that, or the empire had a right to do that at the time, and it helped to keep the subjects in their place. So, but they didn't realize by making life so difficult that they were going to actually create this uprising. And so, yeah, so the Salt Act prevented the Indian people from mining and extracting salt from their own shores. And then they had to like buy it back from the British government. So this was sort of a backdrop in my book, and also there was this bombing that took place in a British embassy, government house, I guess it is, British government house in Delhi during the course of my book, which I of course insert Ginger and Basil in it so they can witness it. Nobody was killed. It was more a demonstration. It was like a symbolic thing that we want to be heard. We're not being heard, and you need to listen to us. So that was, kind of a interesting.
It's interesting because the Salt Act, that's one of the things that directly or indirectly led one of the factors in leading to India's independence later, much later, 1947.
Yeah, after the war, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a triggering point, and nowadays we don't realize the value of like how important salt was to earlier generations, and even way back in sort of medieval times and so forth, however far you want to go back. Salt was really important, not just because it added flavor to your food, but it was a preserving agent. So it preserved food over winter months, or when, just so food isn't wasted. So it's
it would be like we're Canadian, so of course Canada was once a British colony.
Well, we're still part of the Commonwealth, but yeah.
It would be like as if back in the day the British government, and of course in BC we have lots of timber, so a lot of our province's budget is powered by timber, by logging. It would be like the British government imposing this massive tax on trees, and for us to build our houses with, and
then we'd have to buy it back from another country, basically.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we would be upset about that.
Yes. If you're wondering what that beeping is, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's our what is that thing?
I'm boiling eggs in an Instapot.
Instapot.
So follow me for more tips on how to cook eggs in your Instapot. Really works great.
That is, the interesting little tidbits that we're going to share about Murder at Maharaja Courts. So I hope you check it out. It's on pre-order right now, and if you see this after December 18th, it will be released and available. And also, if you haven't started the series, check out the first book is Murder on the SS Rosa, and I think we'll talk about that book in the next episode. Then we'll talk about how Ginger Gold started, and talk about the Murder on the SS Rosa. And I think too I'll get more into, because that's going back in time, we can get more into even what was going on in the world and with us, and my research that opened up the world of Ginger Gold and the historical trivia.
Talking about the Maharaja Court, this is book number 28. Mm-hmm. So is this the first time in the series, I can't remember, where the murder mystery takes place in an entirely foreign country?
No, because the Murder in the Olympics, it took place in Amsterdam, and then we do have one murder in France. I think it takes place in Paris. So,
but this is the only Ginger Gold mystery that involves a tiger hunt.
Yes.
So
Yes. So don't worry, no animals were injured in the writing of this book. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us.
And yeah, we'll see you next time. The next podcast will be out soon. And we look forward to it.
Yeah. Take care.
Okay.
Here we are doing more weird and strange things.
Yes.
Norman Lorley Strauss Adventures.